What's going on, guys? It's Matt and Matt here from Average Dude TV. We're back on the OG couch from our very first video, and today we're coming back to tell you everything you need to know about intermittent fasting and how to use it to improve your life. Let's just start with the basics. First of all, intermittent fasting is probably my favorite tool and one of the most effective tools for fat loss and weight loss in general. It's basically a cycle and a method of eating with different phases, and these phases include both a fasted period and then a fed period, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You're going to fast during the fasted period, and then you're going to eat your total daily caloric intake during the fed period. Intermittent fasting is not a diet. It is simply just the method that you eat, the way you eat, an eating style, I guess you could say.
Yeah, but however, it is a lot more like practical, especially during a cutting phase, when you're, obviously having a shortage of calories, and it just kind of stretches your calories a little bit further.
Mm-hmm. It makes it feel that way.
Yeah.
So basically what you would be doing during intermittent fasting is, instead of eating all throughout the day, 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, stuff like that, snacks in between, you're shortening your eating window into a smaller amount of time so that you could have bigger meals, which will help you feel more fulfilled. It'll help you, mentally feel like you're not dieting as much because you still have the same size portions as usual.
Right, and it doesn't restrict certain foods. It's still like a if it fits your macros type plan. It's just about literally like the time frame that you're actually consuming those calories, and because the time frame usually, I would say for me personally, is about like an 8-hour window, you're able to enjoy the food more instead of like for every meal having like a tiny portion essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
So on a day like today, I woke up at 7:30 a.m. and the most important thing to do, regardless of if you're intermittent fasting or not, is to just like chug water. I know some people are like, oh, it's difficult, but you really need to do it. Your body is in a state of being dehydrated when you wake up. So I usually chug 16 to 32 ounces of water. That's 1 to 2 water bottles. And then usually I consume my first cup of coffee right away. I'm a caffeine dependent person. I know it's not the best thing, but it is what it is. So I consume my first cup of coffee, and then I usually just start doing work immediately, whatever it is that I need to do. Then, a couple hours later, say 3-4 hours later, I'll get a little bit hungry, and at that point, I'll consume another cup of coffee. The reason I do that is that caffeine suppresses your appetite. But it's extremely important that when you're consuming caffeine, especially if you're having like 2 or more cups of coffee, that you keep drinking water because caffeine dehydrates you. So if you can't chug water in the morning, then, maybe don't drink your first cup of coffee right away and kind of, wait a couple hours and sip water as much as you can.
Water's the most important thing. Always, no matter what you're doing, like Matt said, you have to continue to drink water. And, it actually helps you with your intermittent fasting because just like the caffeine, if you're drinking a lot of water, filling up your stomach with water will help you complete your fast and extend that further into the day.
Obviously, everyone's day is different. During the summer, right now, we tend to go to the gym late morning, early afternoon, so maybe somewhere in the neighborhood of 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So often, I will train fasted. And then usually my first meal will be when I get home from the gym. For example, today, I got home from the gym about 2:30 or 3 p.m. That was my first meal of the day.
And you guys might be thinking, oh, training fasted, is that healthy, yada, yada, yada. Yes, perfectly fine. I haven't noticed any differences with it. The only thing you might run into is the fact that if you're not eating any carbs before your workout, you might feel a little bit lower on energy, but that's where Matt and I like to bring in the pre-workout or, some form of caffeine, suppressing that hunger, but also giving you enough energy to push you through the workout.
Right now, I'm on a cutting phase. I'm having about 2,100 calories. So, for example, today, I had about 500 calories to break the fast, and then since then I had like a couple more hundred as snacks. I still have I think 13 or 1,400 calories left, which means that I can have a massive dinner, which is exactly what I'm going to do. And that's kind of how it's structured. And then usually, like I said, an 8-hour window. So say 10:30, you don't eat past that.
There's also a lot of factors that go into determining, when you're going to fast and when you're going to start eating. It all depends day to day, when you ate last the night before, what you're doing in the morning, what time you wake up, all stuff like that. So it really is going to vary day to day. It's not going to be a set schedule, but it's a tool that Matt and I have been using pretty much every day for the past couple months, and we've noticed great benefits. And what I want to go on to next is just talking about a couple different methods of intermittent fasting. So there's pretty much around 3 that I actually came across, but one that I found to be the most effective and what I think makes the most sense. So I'm going to talk about that one first. This is called the daily intermittent fasting, or it's also called 16-8, and that means you're going to fast for 16 hours of the day. That's including when you sleep. Like Matt said, you wake up, fast for about 4 or 5 hours of the day, and then you eat again during an 8-hour window. That's where the 16-8 comes in. Fasting 16 hours, eating for 8, and then you just do it all over again every single day. That's the most common. That's what Matt and I do every day. That's what we recommend as well, because for me it just seems to be the most healthy option compared to these next 2, which I'm going to discuss. One of them is just fasting for a 24-hour period, either once or twice a week. That means you're going to eat regularly for 5 or 6 days of the week, and then one day you're just going to fast the entire day. This is a little bit less effective for losing weight because you're only cutting out, in reality, 2 or 3 meals as compared to 7 if you intermittent fasted every day. Because in reality, you're basically just skipping breakfast if you do the daily intermittent fasting. So
yeah, I wouldn't recommend that.
It's not as effective. And then the other one is that I came across is fasting for 24 hours every other day, which is kind of sketchy. It's basically you eat regularly one day, you fast the next day, eat regular the day after, fast the day after, and so on. I don't think this is a healthy option.
I've heard of some people that once a week will fast for 1 day, in some cases 2 full days, but I've actually never heard of anyone that I know at least like eating for full 24 hours, fasting for 20, how do you even do that?
I don't recommend this at all. It definitely cannot be healthy, I don't think, because
it can't be good for muscle.
In reality, it's all about that weekly total caloric intake. It's kind of hard to eat 2 full days worth of calories in 1 day. That's a lot. It's like eating 4,000.
It's hard to not eat for a full day.
Yeah, it's like 4,000 calories plus, and then you're skipping a whole nother day. So it's kind of just irregular. It doesn't really make sense. Can't be healthy because if you don't make up the calories from the full day that you skipped, you're dropping weight way too fast. You're gonna lose a lot of muscle mass, and it's not gonna be healthy for you or your body. So don't recommend that. The 24-hour fast once or twice a week is, like I said, it's not gonna be as effective of a tool for losing fat. If that's your main goal, I definitely suggest you go for the 16-hour fast and then the 8-hour feeding period every single day.
But as far as actually an 8-hour window, right, life is flexible. This is a flexible approach. So it's not like we actually literally sit there and are like, oh yeah, it's 8 hours and 30 minutes, we can't eat, right? What we do is we wake up, we try not to eat as long as we can. Usually it's up until right after the gym, or if we go to the gym later, we'll have a pre-workout meal, get some carbs in, some energy. But as far as an 8-hour window, it's not consistent, and I suggest that you guys take a more flexible approach where you just try to eat as late as you can. Obviously, if you're extremely hungry, you have caffeine, it's not working, then you need to eat something. That's your body telling you that you need to eat.
In reality, it's all about being sustainable. It's trying to work with this caloric deficit for as long as you can. You really want it to be sustainable. So that's why Matt and I try and be as flexible as possible, because we know if you constrict yourself so much every single day, it's just not going to work out. Keep a rough idea of about 8 hours. Go past it, go under it, do what you need to do. Like I said, it depends on the day. React to the way your body feels. If you get hungry, like Matt said, then eat. It's not that big of a deal. Like I said, it's not a diet. It's just a tool to make your diet easier.
Yeah.
Follow your calories. don't think to yourself that, oh, because I fasted for 16 hours straight, I could just pound down whatever the hell I want.
If you're bulking, right? So like for us, when we're bulking, I guess that would be somewhere around 3,000 calories, right? 3,100 calories, something like that. And you're bulking and using intermittent fasting, like it might be even difficult for you to eat that much food. Like some days, like when we were bulking, like we struggled to actually like eat that many calories.
Especially when it's like cleaner foods, because it's a lot of volume for a small amount of calories.
Like, do you know how much chicken, like 3,100 calories of chicken is? It's like pounds and pounds and pounds of chicken. You can't eat that much. So like if you're trying to pound down food and you're on a bulk and you're intermittent fasting, like then that's cool. But if you're cutting, then like no. And most likely you're gonna have like 2 meals instead of 3, but those meals will be bigger and you know have a little room for like a snack or 2.
Exactly. You know, that's the main reason why Matt and I follow this approach. It's because if we were to split our 2,100 calories over a full day of eating, the meals would be so small they wouldn't make me full at all. I wouldn't feel satiated at all. And that's why I love intermittent fasting so much, because it makes me feel like I'm not cutting or I'm not dieting at all.
Exactly. So before we end it, I'm just going to discuss like diabetes and the implications of that and intermittent fasting, which I slightly mentioned in my previous video. Link down below for that one. If you go to a doctor, you know, an endocrinologist, which is the doctor that manages my diabetes, a doctor that specializes in, you know, metabolism and stuff like that, they will tell you that a diabetic should eat every 2 to 3 hours. The reason they tell you this is so that your blood sugar is stable, it doesn't dip too low, and just for like general safety purposes. Personally, I have not noticed any side effects. I have not noticed increase or decrease in insulin sensitivity. The reason that I haven't noticed that is because like my body like doesn't produce insulin at all. Like all the insulin I take is artificial. So type 2 diabetics, right? Like if you cut your carb intake, you'll see a decrease in insulin sensitivity, which is good. That's how you could actually reverse type 2 diabetes. But for a type 1 diabetic like myself, I haven't noticed an effect. With that said, something that can happen is you can have low blood sugar if you don't eat for an extended period of time. I wear a device on me that's connected to my phone, so I could see, you know, when that's coming, I could see when it's trending down, and I could eat something and protect that, right? Like, if it's, you know, if I just woke up an hour ago and I'm about to have a low blood sugar, like, obviously I'm gonna eat a piece of candy to treat it. I'm not gonna just, like, go for the intermittent fast. And like I mentioned in the previous video, say I have a low blood sugar in the morning, I'll treat it with a piece of candy, which is 60, 80, 100 calories, probably not more than that. And then I could still continue the intermittent fast until I want to. Like if you have low blood sugar and you eat something and it goes low again, at that point you should probably eat a meal, but I usually don't experience that. I have no trouble training fasted, being a type 1 diabetic. Usually doing weight training increases your blood sugar, right? So I woke up this morning, my blood sugar was at 135. I went to the gym, started lifting weights. I didn't eat anything. I did drink coffee, which is a stimulant, which will raise your blood sugar a little bit. And during the workout, my blood sugar was higher than I wanted it to be. It was about 165. So it actually increased from the coffee and from working out as well. Sometimes in the gym, I will see that my blood sugar goes low. Probably 1/3 of my workouts, it goes low. That's okay, just treat it. It's a hassle, it affects your lift, but it is what it is.
You always carry, what, like jelly beans or like Starburst or something in your bag, just so you could quickly eat it, like mid-workout.
Definitely make sure that you have candy in your gym bag and everything like that. Fasted cardio, you can't do. You're type 1 diabetic, can't do it. Don't care if your blood sugar is 250. That's just a stupid idea. Can never do fasted cardio, ever, 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 ever. So don't even try it. And that's pretty much that. I highly recommend that type 1 diabetics give it a try. Type 2 diabetics, it's a freaking fantastic approach, especially for like newly diagnosed people where they still are in a phase where they can actually reverse the effects of that disease by cutting their carbohydrate intake. So I would highly recommend it for type 2 diabetics and really anyone that's, you know, struggling, trying to, you know, lose weight, really.
You know, it might take you a couple days or like a week to, you know, adjust to the schedule of fasting for an extended period of time. But I promise you, if you give it a shot, you stick with it for about a week or so, I think you'll be able to see why so many people like us, you know, use this approach to help them with their dieting. So before we wrap up the video, I just want to quickly recap, you know, really quick. So basically, intermittent fasting is not a diet. It's a method of eating where you're going to fast for a certain period of time, and then you're going to eat your total daily calories in a short amount of time, so you can, have bigger meals, and it'll make you feel more full, more satiated, which will give you the mentality that you're not on a diet.
Type 1 diabetic approved. We recommend you try it, and I would say, even if you struggle the first couple of days, please at least try it for 1 to 2 weeks. And, you don't necessarily have to do it 7 days a week. I would say maybe 1 or 2 days a week. I end up not doing it just because, my plans don't work out that way. That's totally fine.
All depends on the day, like we said. Quick tips to suppress your hunger. Number 1, drink a lot of water always, no matter what you're doing, no matter if you're intermittent fasting or not. Pound that water down. Number 2, use caffeine, whether it's pre-workout, coffee, caffeine pills, tea, anything like that. And then number 3, something I like to use is chewing gum. It just gives me the, placebo effect that I'm eating something, and it just helps me out personally. So those are a couple tips to suppress your hunger during your fast. If those don't work, just eat your first meal. It's not that big of a deal. And, I think if you guys give it a shot, I think you guys can really find that it'll help you out a lot in your dieting.
Alright, yeah, so go out there, try intermittent fasting. If you have any experience with it, please comment down below your thoughts on it, if it worked or if it didn't for you. We're very interested to hear that. And, of course, make sure to hit the like button and share it, because your friends will appreciate this when you help them lose weight. And subscribe. Can't forget that.
Yeah, as always.
Subscribe, please. We appreciate it so much. And we're going to have a lot more of these educational and informative videos coming soon. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one. Average Dude Nation, peace.
Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, new video. Peace, fam.